Hey guys, welcome back to Love Lauren. I'm so happy that you're here. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my passions, okay? So I love to read ever since I was little. I can remember sitting on my mom's lap before going to bed and watching her mouth as she would read to me either a Judy B. Jones book or a multitude of other kinds of books that I asked her to read to me. And then as I grew up, the library was my favorite part of the day in school, getting new books. I was a huge fan of the Left Behind series. I read that all the way through middle school. As I grew up, I became so obsessed with certain authors or certain book series, and I feel like that's how you really get into the love of reading, is to find a good book that hooks you and then just keep, and hopefully maybe it's a series, and then you just keep going. Today I'm going to share with you some of my favorite books. So consequently, most of these books I've read within the last year, two, maybe three. But they're so good. To the point of some of these books, I would give my right arm, chop it off, if only I could reread it for the first time. Okay, so I know it's a little bit excessive, but we're gonna start off with Redeeming Love. So Redeeming Love, probably maybe the most controversial. I don't know, it shouldn't be. It is a fictional story based on the book of Hosea from the Bible. There are some controversial things, there are some really dark, hard things to read through, but the story of God's love for us, for me, for you, is portrayed through this story. And movie just came out. I love the movie. I think it was done really, really well. I am totally for Francine Rivers and Redeeming Love, and also anything Francine Rivers writes is so, so good. So amazing book. I've read it 4 times. I will continue to read it once a year, probably. So until the day I die. The next book I want to talk about is called Educated. So this book is a memoir, and usually I gravitate towards fictional stories, but this memoir reads like a fictional story. Her life doesn't even seem real. Tara Westover is a brilliant, brilliant human, and this book is so good. Another very similar book to this is The Glass Castle, which is also incredibly good. So Educated, a huge recommendation. If you are on TikTok or Instagram or on Reels or anything, you may have heard of an author called Colleen Hoover. She is amazing, and I just recently, probably this summer, came across her, and I love her books. They are a little PG-13, I will say. There are some that, there's one particularly called Verity, which is the only book that's ever scared me as I read it. I had to close it and just say, this is fiction, this is fiction. It scared me so much. I don't like scary things in general. But the rest of her stories are usually love-based, romance-based. November 9 is so good. It's about a boy and a girl who meet on November 9 and then vow to get together for 5 years on November 9 with no contact in between. And I could not put this down. So good. This next book is probably the fastest I've ever read a book ever. Daisy Jones and the Six. Another author that I love is Taylor Jenkins Reid, who wrote this book. I did not know what I was getting into with this book. As I was reading it, I started going on Spotify and typing in Daisy Jones, because I was I want to listen to her music. She sounds so cool. Yeah, she's fiction. She's a fictional character, and so is the band The Six. And this is going to be a movie soon, and I know it's going to be a huge hit. And this book reads so fast. It's set up like a interview style, and so it is so good. Daisy Jones and the Six, everyone. The next book is also going to be a movie soon. This book ripped my heart out of my chest, stomped on it, put it back in my chest, ripped it out again, stomped on it again, and then put it back in my chest. It ruined me. I would give my right arm to read this book again for the first time, and It Ends With Us. I can't even really give you that much insight into what this book is about. Some hard things, some very sad things. So good. So good. All right, in the next book, also, if I could give my right arm, chop it off. If only I could reread this for the first time. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book, guys, it is so good. So good. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then I don't have the books with me, but I used to be a huge fan, still am, but I literally had to force myself not to read World War II historical fiction, and I think that stems from growing up and going to MLC, middle school in Alton, and spending almost an entire year on the Holocaust and Anne Frank. So some of my favorite books that I've ever read about World War II are Lilac Girls. Oh, such a sad book. So good. Salt to the Sea and Between Shades of Grey. Those are both two books about like the Eastern European countries during World War II, which I didn't even know what happened to them until I read these books. So it's, yeah, I love World War II fiction because usually these stories are based on something that really happened with just fictionalized parts. And so I learned so much. So those two books are really, really good. And then All the Light We Cannot See, completely so good. Oh, so I have a lot of other World War II fiction books, historical fiction books that I read, but those are some of my favorite ones. And then the last one I'm gonna say is, as I was looking through my books to like give some recommendations, I came across this one, and it's called See Me by Nicholas Sparks. I'm a huge Nicholas Sparks fan. I mean, who's not? Classic love stories, right? Well, this is the only book that I've read by him where there is some suspense. So it's kind of scary. Nothing to the level of Verity by Colleen Hoover, but See Me is a beautiful, cute little love story with some suspense in it. So I was really hoping this would be a movie. I heard that Nicholas Sparks is no longer making movies of his books, which I think is the stupidest thing because some of my favorite romance movies or dramas are Nicholas Sparks books. So this one's really, really good and a really easy read. I'd actually say all the books that are now on my floor are really easy reads, and I would recommend them to anyone. Some of them are a little PG-13, so just beware. But oh my goodness, I love to read. If you have a favorite book that I need to read, let me know. If I had to pick one book for you to read, I think it focused on it. So good. And I end with that. Have a good day. Bye, guys.